excuse the lighting right now. Y'all know when I start the vlog early in the day, the sun is like this where I film. But I do want to go through the weekly TBR. First things first, I still have my ebook, which is Written in My Own Heart's Blood by Diana Gabaldon. This is the 8th book. I think it's the 8th book, or is it the 9th book? Oh my gosh, I think it's the 8th. The 8th book in the Outlander series. This is a genre-bending series, but we are following a family during the American Revolution with some time travel elements involved. And then I am starting a big chunky fantasy book today, but I am going to be doing the audiobook because I don't know if I bought this audiobook or if it was available with my subscription, but we're going to see together what this book is about. But this is The City of Dusk by Tara Sim. The four realms, life, death, light, and darkness, all converge on the City of Dusk. But the gods have withdrawn their favor from the once thriving and vibrant metropolis, and without it, all the realms are dying. Unwilling to stand by and watch the destruction— I'm sorry, my dog is chasing squirrels in the backyard. They're on the fence and she's in the grass, so if you hear that, that's what that is, but okay. Unwilling to stand by and watch the destruction, the four heirs to divine power, Angelica, an elementalist with her eyes set on the throne, Risha, a necromancer fighting to keep the peace, Nicholas, a soldier who struggles to see the light, and Tashia, I don't know, a shadow-wielding rogue with a reckless heart, will become reluctant allies in the quest to save their city, but their rebellion will cost them deadly. I got this in a subscription box. As you can see, there is a note card from the author's signature here, and then this is the little pamphlet that came with it, with everything that came in the box. But I have read one book from this author before and didn't like it, and I probably wouldn't have bought another book by this author, but since I did get it in a subscription box and that this is adult fantasy when the last one I read was young adult fantasy, I might have been a young adult when I read it. I don't remember how old I was, but The Timekeepers or Timekeeper. We're gonna try this. We're gonna hope it goes well. Luckily, I will be doing the audiobook, so these small words won't be that small. And these words I didn't know how to pronounce on the back. Hopefully, I will learn to pronounce them. But I am gonna go through the books that I've hauled recently. Look at that. That's so strange looking. Y'all see that? Why is it like that? That's so weird, but okay. I am going to go through the books that I've hauled recently and put them into my Goodreads account and Storygraph, you know, all the apps do that, and see if there's free audiobooks with them, because I've told y'all audiobooks are my favorite format of reading right now, but I read in tandem where I will have my physical— that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to have my physical copy but be listening to the audiobook as I read. That's my favorite— or read physically. That is my favorite form of reading at the moment. It's something that's always changing, but that's what it is at the moment. I'm going to work on getting the books onto my Goodreads and then eat some lunch. That's my leftover pasta from yesterday, so I'm going to eat that. And then, ooh, I might want to watch some Rome. Yeah, I'll watch Rome when I eat my lunch and then get into reading. Focus, focus. Okay, we are in focus now. I'm going to go through my notes so far on City of Dusk. I just have to get it to the right page. Typically I would have done all that before I started recording. I don't know why. Today I didn't. It's Monday. But Mercury in retrograde. I can never say that word. But it's over. So like, thank you, God. But we are here to talk about The City of Dusk by Tara Sim. I got to 15%, which is 82 pages read in about 4 hours of the audiobook. I know, I'm only at 15%. Like, I mean, yeah, like when you look at it, it doesn't look like that much, but I feel like I read a lot, but it really wasn't that much. Like, it's a really confusing time. So, not supposed to say SO, but I probably shouldn't say that either. With that being said, I'm only at 15%. I don't have too strong of thoughts so far. I usually don't get that until about 25% of the way into the book, but right now it's like a 2-star. I'm not feeling a whole lot, but we are still very much in the early phases of the book. By our first little introduction or prologue thing, this, Dark Days and Dark Deeds, I'm like, are we gonna have an astrology magic system? Now I'm not so sure, but I love relying on the stars and everything. Think of our ancestors who used these stars as a map, basically. I find that extremely fascinating, and I thought the book might go there, but now I am not so sure. But we have moons and everything on the cover, so, and those look like they might be stars. You never know. But I wasn't expecting other species. I didn't know, it is a high fantasy obviously, but I didn't think there would be other kinds of creatures. I'm not really sure, and we'll talk about why that is in a minute, but in our first chapter we are following Tessia. I'm already forgetting how to say her name. She's the one I've liked the least. I just find her kind of irritating, but she makes notice that somebody doesn't have horns, and you know, humans, we don't have horns. And like all our main characters have horns and don't look like, or are not humans. And because like, why would you make note of somebody not having horns? I never think like, oh, that person doesn't have horns. I'm not sure. And Nexus, which is the city where we've been, is that the city of dusk? Not sure. Spirits in Risha's head. So Risha is our necromancer character, and I only thought necromancer meant bringing people back from the dead, but no, it is communicating with the dead and telling the future through the dead. I had to Google it because I wanted to confirm before I talked about it, but I think this is really interesting because the thing is with Risha, she can't get these spirits. Right now she's struggling with getting these spirits out of her head. She's just hearing things of how these people died, and I think that's going to be really interesting character work, because we can think of it like on a mental health standpoint of people who do have voices inside their head, but in this case we're seeing it because she's a necromancer, and I can't imagine having to hear all of that. It must be really grating, and I think it would cause pretty much anybody to go crazy. I'm really intrigued to see where that goes. With all these main characters, they are coming of age, they are adults, they're in their 20s, but being trained in their magic powers. Everybody has magic. At least the people who are our main characters, who are all people of privilege. They're people, I don't want to say necessarily of royal blood, but they're higher up in society. I guess nobles is what we would say. That they are noble people and they all have some kind of magic power. Now there's been hints that maybe some of like the lower class who were like kids playing, and they were like, oh, you have a hint of Daya's power. I don't know if those kids actually do, or that was them joking around. Again, that was only in the first chapter. There wasn't enough world building yet for me to understand if everybody in this world at least has some magic. Not sure. And then zombies. I didn't expect there to be like a zombie thing going on. Yes, we have a necromancer main character, and I thought that meant raising people from the dead. But there are zombies showing up. And I'm wondering, I have never read that in a fantasy book other than A Song of Ice and Fire, and I am wondering if like those episodes like Hard Home, which is one of the scariest things I've ever watched. I had nightmares about that. It freaked me out. And I'm wondering if the impact of that episode made zombies come into the fantasy genre, because I did watch a TikTok the other day where somebody was talking about how a book was basically like a ripoff of A Song of Ice and Fire, but it was a good book, but with like the White Walkers zombie kind of vibe, trope, or whatever going on. So I'm wondering if Hard Home had such a big impact that it made fantasy books add in zombies. I don't know, just random thoughts with me. Let's go to our next page of notes here. So I have 2.5 pages of notes. And yeah, I think one of our characters let out the magic to make these zombies. We see him doing it very early in chapter 1. I'm not going to say who, but I think one of our characters, not one of our POV characters, but I think one of the characters who is not necessarily a bad person let out all of this. We talked about Pandora's box the other day. And wow, the princess was the thief. Not going to say anymore, but I'm thinking a theory. I think Angelica will have to marry the king. I don't know why I got that vibe, just did. I don't even really remember writing that down, to be honest with y'all. But we were really lacking physical descriptions of these characters. I didn't know how to picture these people until we got to chapter 4 or 5, so over 50 pages into the book. Yeah, Nicholas's chapter. So that's 4 chapters in, over 50 pages into the book. Once we get Nicholas, it's saying, like, describing these characters like, oh, this one has dark hair and blah, blah, blah. You know, this one has this color eyes, this color skin. And I had no idea how to picture these people before that chapter, and we had their perspectives and everything, so it's definitely lacking physical descriptions of people. And here's a quote that I liked. I just thought it was pretty writing. This is describing some sensory stuff one of our characters had going on. And something ephemeral that reminded her of the first stages of dawn, or the quiet creeping of a fog over a valley, expansive and intangible. That's on page 43. I liked that. And then my favorite characters so far have been Risha and Angelica. Risha, I told you she has all the spirits going on in her head. And Angelica, she's a bitch. And I'm sorry for swearing, but she's not a nice person, and I always like those characters in fantasy. I really like that. And then she does have her struggles where she's really struggling with her power, with her like magic system and all of that. I think she'll be intriguing to follow. And as I told y'all, I don't really like Tashia. I'm saying that wrong. Don't like her. I thought she was agitating. She's the character we kick off the book with. And then everybody wants to rule the world. All these POVs, all their families are wanting to be on top, and everybody is basically wanting to get the king out of there. And that leads me into one of my next points of, I don't get Ferdinand. He is the king. How did he become king? Is he related to any of these families? How is the king chosen? I know they're wanting to get rid of the monarchy and start something new, but I don't know how Ferdinand got into power to begin with. I know he's married, at least I think he's married to one of the characters, to the one I can't say, Tashia. That's not how you say it. I don't remember how you say that. Get frustrated because I don't like the character already, and then I can't pronounce her effing name. Tashia. No, Tashia. Okay. T. So T's aunt is married to the king, I'm pretty sure, but I don't know if I had that fully understood yet. If they all like this guy, how did he get into power? I don't get Ferdinand. And then what are familiars? They all have familiars. Now I know in the witchy world a familiar is that like a black cat, like Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Salem is her familiar. I don't know what familiars are in this story. They're only described as it. They don't have like she, him, they pronouns. They're it's. They seem to be creatures like animals. I don't know. Like they talk about them so much and it's just like, oh, cute. They have a pet. I think that's what the author's trying to do, is make it cutesy, but I don't understand what their relevance is. And then Nicholas is he's the last of the POVs that we get, or Nicholas, I spelled it wrong on there, but Nicholas, he is a soldier who struggles to see the light. He's struggling with the magic system and everything. And his chapter was so sporadic where I was like, are we jumping from people's heads all over this? Are we at Ferdinand's perspective? Are we at this person's perspective? No, we're at Nicholas's perspective. And his chapter is very sporadic, and I find that often where when I'm reading a book, typically I mainly read fantasy by female authors, that the male character, there'll be like one male POV and his is only the least developed compared to all the females. And honestly, I understand that. That's like when you're playing Sims, you make so much detail to the female Sims, and then the male Sim is just like as basic as possible. I think it's honestly, I mean, there are females or women who can write great male characters, and there's men who can write great female characters. It's just a toss-up, but a lot of the time I see that they usually can't write the opposite sex that well. But also I do think with so many characters here, I mean, it's only like 4 characters we're getting perspectives of. Was it 4 or 5? Yeah, 4. That's a lot. It might be a lot for an author. I don't know I don't know which book was first. This came in 2022 and I did read Timekeeper before that. I think this might be the author's first foray into adult fantasy, so there could be some challenges. You never know. But that's all that I'm going to read in there today. Audiobook is fine. T's chapters did irritate me. I don't know why. I didn't really like the audio there. I'm not liking T, and that's how the book kicked off, and I was just like, oh gosh, what am I getting myself into? But we're gonna keep on going through this book, see where I get, have a good time. You know, I'm going to be ending the vlog here. If you made it all the way through, leave a Christmas emoji in the comments below, and as always, comment, rate, and subscribe. And don't forget to ring that notification bell to be notified when all my videos go live. I'll see you in my next one. Bye!